Hey, all, it's Paul from Drums and Rums with the Backbeats Meets the Spirits, and we're talking Guinness today. You heard that right, but not this kind of Guinness, okay? And of course, this is Drums and Rums after all, right? So, but there's other Guinnesses, and his story and his journey touched me when I heard about it from a West Palm Beach, Florida radio station. And I'll give them a shout out there, WRMF 97.9. They shared the story about breaking the record for continuous drumming. So immediately I heard the story. I said, "This is great," and I want to learn more. I want to talk. I want to talk to this guy, and this is our first podcast back from a big break we had here. So it's really thrilled to. This is our guest that we're having back after a little 2 month hiatus there. And thank you all for listening and sticking through the summer there and checking out old episodes. So I hope you definitely enjoy this episode here. I think it's going to be a great one here. No, I know it's going to be a great one here. So our guest is soon to be three-time. He's already broke it, but I guess you're waiting to get confirmed. But a three-time Guinness Book World Record holder. He recently broke the record for continuous drumming at 150 hours. He's only one of 5 people in the world to play full drum kit over 100 hours. Let me introduce the podcast. Allie Brown. Hi, Allie. Hal, thanks for coming on the podcast here. Welcome to Drums and Rums.
Well, Paul, how you doing?
I'm
Nice,
do
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Allie or Alistair or which you do you prefer?
Ali's easier.
Okay. So perfect. Yeah. So like I said, I think when I messaged you the other day, I said, hey, the power of Facebook, right? Which is kind of, cool. And then also it could be, I know, creepy. You're like, who the hell is this
Yeah,
guy reaching out to me? Like, I don't know. We're friends. Again, we did have a common friend. Yes. So shout out to Kira, who passed, part of our alums, right? She's the Drums and Rums alum that we had her on, I think last year. And, um, I should know that, but oh well. So, and when I reached out, I said, this is a great story. I want to learn. I mean, Guinness Book World Record, right? That's huge, right? It's still a something, even though to today, that's still a big thing to be breaking records of whatever it may be. So yeah, that's how I found you. Okay, a local South Florida radio station made note of it. My wife heard about it. And she mentioned to me. I said, I got to learn more, right? And that's kind of how that's why we're here where we're today, right?
that's it.
So I, before we got to kind of get into the Guinness the record, and some of the things that you've gone through is, so tell me about like your background. So I know you kind of started at a very young age, and playing drums. Did you grow up like in a music household? Was music? Do you have musician parents or family members? Or I say, how did you get into music and playing drums really?
So at a very early age, I learned the flute at around 7 years old, and I then moved into high school and wanted to learn the flute, and the music department actually gave me a bassoon.
Hmm.
So I learned that for 3 years, and as I was in the concert bands and orchestras, I decided, hey, I want to hit things. I want to play the drums. So I took that on, and I got a drum kit fairly early on in high school, like 14, 15 years old. And I set it up in the garage. I got my Walkman, as it was in those days, and I just listened to music for 2, 3 hours at a time. And I am self-taught, so I did that every single day after school and just learning the drums that way. I did, however, get my first drum kit when I was 2 years old, but it took a wee while before I realized that this is for me.
It's so when you were so like I said, I think we were roughly the same age. We won't share any more personal information that we already shared that we were too easy to get share, right? But yeah, we're roughly the same age, and I mean with some of those things I know for me here in the States, the Muppet Show back in the 70s, 80s, Animal, right? And I know
That's
you
it.
you do have a reference to Animal. I'll let you decide if you how you want to share that or not. I don't want to put any pressure. But that was some of the things growing up, and I didn't necessarily grow up in that. A My parents didn't really play music or instruments, but very influenced. They came over here to the States from Scotland, but met here. So, huge Brit invasion, and obviously the Beatles, the Stones and things like that. So music definitely growing up, in our house. So very influenced by that. But it sounds like very similar too. So when you made that transition to the drum kit, so do you say, I guess it would be the equivalent for us here in the States, middle school? Would you say high school, or was that
Yeah, so I would be about 15, 14, 15 years
okay?
old.
And do you think any of the what you learned from playing the flute or uh, the other wind instruments or brass instruments help in?
Uh, it helped me decide what I wanted to play
Okay.
and what I didn't want to play.
Okay.
I also learned the piano when I was younger as well.
Okay.
A lot of those things were interesting at the start, but they never, I never got a grip of it. I never wanted to continue with the tuition of it or learn further. But once I got into the drums and doing percussion, I just realized that, hey, this is fun and I enjoy doing this. So I did try my best to keep it up, and here I am today, still doing it.
Oh, that's awesome. So that took you through then high school, and then obviously further along in where did you kind of go with playing the drums then at that point?
As most people in high school would realize, you've got friends who are into music. They're all learning different instruments, and it's yeah, let's start a band. Let's try and see if we can play music together. And whatever music we listen to, our favorite music, and we'll just try and emulate that. We'll copy it. We'll see if we can play a few songs together. So basically, when I came out of school, I had a few friends, and we had our own band, and we thought, hey, we're the coolest people about. We'll just start doing a few gigs, whether it's to 5 people or 20 people. We still loved it. It was amazing. After that, then I started to do a lot of. I was very fortunate to actually get playing with theatre work
Mm,
and for operatic societies here, where I played the drums for the pantomimes at the Christmas shows for about 20 odd years. And I did a few of the cabaret shows during the year as well. So that sort of kept me busy with the drums. And that made life a bit easier for me. And I really enjoyed it. For me, when I was doing like the Christmas shows, that's when Christmas started. I knew I've got this week or 10 days of playing drums, and then that's my holidays started. And I used to love doing that. I don't do it anymore now.
mm. Yeah, so and it's the opportunity to continue and do different things and not kind of stay, like you said, what kind of, I guess, music with you and your buddies in high school there? Rock, I would assume.
Yeah, well, a bit of rock, a lot
Okay.
of indie stuff
Okay.
as well. I also, with a group of mates, we started up our own original band. It was called Universal Remedy. And we played for about, I'm going to get told off, between 6 to 10 years together. And we did some gigs around the circuit here in Northern Ireland. We were also very fortunate as well to support some big bands that were over for a New Year's Eve gig. There was like Supergrass and people like that, Pigeon Detective. So it was a really good experience to do both, playing original music, which is so difficult to do. And I know a lot of people are really pushing themselves to do that. And it would be nice for people to support local music, because it's such a difficult thing to be doing, because it's you don't get paid to do it. You're doing it yourself, your own time, and you're trying to express your music and your talent to people. And it's a very tough thing to do, but I absolutely enjoyed it. The camaraderie with all the other bands, and also the fun we had with all the people that came to watch. So it turned into a bit of a party every night. I used to love doing that.
Yeah, and it's so true. And again, here is whether we sit we just had a whole conversation with a distiller yesterday here in West Palm Beach about talking about when people say support local. Is it just it's just a word it just kind of says and it's a catchphrase, but do really people really believe it and do it and actually no, they probably believe it, but they actually do put it into action and actually speak what they say. And it's no different here in the States here. It's like that everywhere in the world. I'm sure you talked, it's just it's so yeah, support music, support local. Unless you want to go out
Yeah,
there and listen to the jukebox and that's all you're gonna get, or the somebody's Spotify playlist in a bar and or or
yeah,
whatever it may be. And live music is such a different there's a different vibe when you're in a place with live music versus
that's it.
yeah. So
It has to start somewhere, doesn't it?
Mm,
And everyone that has made it in the music industry have all started somewhere. Majority of it, or nearly all of it, is to do with just being with your mates in a garage at a house, learning to play music, and then getting out there, playing a few live songs in a live pub or whatever, and being noticed. And that's how it works. So
mm.
it's important to keep supporting the local music.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, like I said, it can be everyone has enjoys playing music. It becomes a dream also, and is a this would be cool to make it our living and play music and again for me always growing up more and listening to rock music and again it's not like this today as you know right is you become a rock star and you got money and cars and girls and all these things and but yeah it's like the percentage of it's tough yeah that's for sure so definitely definitely a valid point there is supporting music so they're from get into some of you said that some of the theater also which was great to be able to transition say hey I could still be a a musician making money
Yeah,
and translate into I think that's a big thing is being able to not say this is it, this is all I'm going to do, but be open to if I want to make this as really a career, you have to be open to playing different things as well, right? If you want to be a full-time
that's
musician,
it.
right?
Well, the other thing too, like I'm self-taught. I did do a couple of lessons with a few tutors where I was learning music. I tried to understand the music myself. I would still find it difficult to try and read music, to be honest, Paul. But because I'm self-taught, I don't see myself as someone who could just hop into any band and play no problem by sight reading. It would be something that I would have to sit down and study for a while to actually be able to play those songs.
Right. And yeah, because I would have right. Other than some of the videos I've seen, obviously with the what we're going to talk about here in a minute is probably very much a field drummer, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, so they're pursuing and doing other things, and then um, I guess then at some point here that you had done a couple other endurance, uh, uh, f- not festivals, but events or engagements. So when was the first time that you tried to get into or started doing this endurance drumming or large
yeah.
scale? Yeah.
So this everything just came about by pure chance. So I was actually teaching drums at a music school that had just started in 2002 in my hometown in Lisburn. To celebrate the first year anniversary, the guy that owned the music school, Stephen, was a fantastic. He's a fantastic piano player. He said. I was trying to figure out something to do here to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. And you know what? There's a piano world record. It's about 50 odd hours, and I would maybe be interested in doing it. But Ali, if I do it, would you be interested in doing the drums? And I went, yeah, I'm easy talked into doing a task or a challenge, so I'm all up for it. So it comes about. Stephen tries the piano world record, and we didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for. And he went ahead and I think he did about 30 hours or something like that, and maybe didn't get any further than that. And then he says, right, Ali, it's your turn. You have to do this now. So I said, fine, let's set a date. I gave it a go. I didn't know what I was letting myself in for. The world record at the time was 50 hours, and he was against South Africa, had it then, and I just went for it. Tried to get the rules. Now the rules were different then,
Mm,
so I had to play 8 straight hours before I could take a break,
mm,
and the break was 15 minutes long. So that was a repetitive thing where you had to play 8 hours, 15-minute break, 8 hours, 15-minute break, and that was it. So whether I needed the toilet or not, I still had to wait for the 8 hours to be finished. So yeah, I did that in 2003, and we got to 50 hours. We phoned Guinness Records, and they said, no, actually, the record's 58 hours. And I went, what? I have to do another 8 hours of this here, and
Oh,
I
you're
was,
that
uh,
close to it, right?
yeah. So I was like completely dosed up on Red Bull Pro Plus. I was trying to keep myself awake. I was doing everything wrong and just doing whatever I could. So I managed to get to the 58 hours. I took a break, and I had my 15-minute break. So for me to be the be given the 15 minutes as part of the world record, I then had to play at least one song
Mm.
to add in the 15-minute break. So that's where the record of 58 hours, 17 minutes comes about. I played one song, threw the sticks down. That was me done, man. I'm finished. I was in a bad way. So my first ever attempt, I was very lucky enough to break it in 2003, and that's how that came about, completely by chance.
Wow. So yeah, so 2003, and here we are
Yeah.
2021, and I know there's many other things along the journey here. Um, and so how long did it take before did you break your own record after that, or did somebody else
No.
break the 58:17?
Uh, yeah, so first of all, the records, Guinness World Records was then taken over by the McWhirter brothers in the late 90s. And there were Guinness records right up until then, including the drumming record, which was held by a guy called Ray Duval. And once it came to the 90s, the records were set back to zero. So that's where the
Mm.
58 hours came about. It was 50 hours, 58 hours. The year after, at Christmas time, I did that in September, and around Christmas time, I found out that a guy in Indonesia called Kunto Hartano had played for 70 something hours, and I was raging. It was New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve, I found out about this, and I was like, man, I can't even hold the record for a few months, and someone goes and beats it. So I found out about that. The following year, 2004, I played for 78 hours, but it wasn't verified because it turned out that I didn't play for long enough, that somebody else had also broken the record at the same time as me, and I was unaware of it. So it was about 86 hours or something like that, and it held for quite a while. So, yeah, as time went on, I said to myself, like, 2008 comes along, I'm sitting going, I want to be the first person of the new rules to reach 100 hours. So that's where I don't I think I got a bug for doing this endurance type
Mm.
thing, Paul. I just thought, I'm capable of doing it. I've done it before. I can maybe do things different this time. So yeah, that's where in 2008 it came about. I'm going to go for 100 hours.
Well, yeah, and that was something I was going to ask you was it's there's now like it's this drive now to keep pursuing at it and again when I mean almost in anything sports probably is maybe the closest maybe
Yeah,
to having a record that somebody holds that people don't like when their records are broken, right? The here in football, American football, the Miami Dolphins hold the only undefeated record in the season, winning every game and the Super Bowl and all the playoff games, and every year every team, and again because I live in South Florida, there's always
yeah.
talk about whoever's left over from the 1972 Dolphins that are still hoping that that these team lose so they don't lose their record, right? I mean, unfortunately for them, they can't go back and reclaim the record because, of course, they're much older now. But yeah, that sounds like something like you said, that bug that you get bitten by people, maybe like endurance runners or people that do Ironman triathletes, and they just kind of keep pushing to see how their body and their drive yeah, again for you it's a um, yeah, you don't want to give up your record. Yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah,
So is
yeah,
it
but it did get to a point where I was like, I did 58 hours. It to me it didn't seem like long enough,
mm,
and I did have to stop for medical reasons and everything just to make sure I was okay,
mm,
and because of what I've been taking for my heart and everything.
mm.
But I knew I could do more, and this is the thing, you do something and you always feel like you can do better. And so that's where I did get the likes of the bug and wanted to do better and better every time.
And as you mentioned, there was you probably went yeah you went into it in not probably as thought of as an athlete,
Yeah.
putting your body and preparing your body for this endurance. Yeah, I'm sure Red Bull probably is not in your current regimen for preparation or during, right? But yeah, I had actually I asked I reached out to Kira and, then, mentioned, talked to her a little bit. And asked her, said, hey, what's your thoughts? Said, you got anything, be good to ask and so forth. And, she was interested in, and like I'm sure most listeners are right now, is that preparation, right? The mental preparation, the physical preparation. How did you prepare? And, really at the end of all of it, or all of them, is what did you learn from all these, the experience each time? So, I mean, yeah, so maybe start like your mental preparation and then your physical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So, mental preparation, the first obvious thing you think of is when you're going to do something that is involving endurance and staying awake for so long, then you have to try and teach your mind to overcome sleep deprivation. So, the way I did it was I would spend maybe a few months and stay awake at the weekends. Now, that could mean going to a party, doing all night partying, but without the alcohol side of it as well, because it's all about me and my body and my mindset. So I would stay awake at weekends. I would do marathon film, TV, just to stay awake and see how my body adapts to that. So when it comes to doing the likes of the endurance event, then my body should, in theory, use like muscle memory or something like that, where my head is going, oh, I can do this. I've been at this stage before. I can maybe last that length of time, or my mind just becomes strong enough to allow me to push myself further, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the physical side of things, then I still to this day don't know exactly physically what I need to be doing for this. What I have learnt over the years is my back. I need to make sure my back is in good shape, my backside as well,
Mm-hmm.
because that can get very numb. I
Yeah.
can tell you that now. So in between the record, the rules are different now, where you can have 30 seconds between every single song. So whenever I finish playing the drums to starting the drums again, I'm allowed 30 seconds. In those 30 seconds, I would tend to stand up, give my legs a bit of a shake, try and get the blood flowing, and then sit back down again. Just keep doing that repetitively. So there's many things that you pick up along the way, but physically, I think my arms, my forearms, my hands, how I play would not be how I would play normally. So I would be doing a lot of like wrist and arm action, like a wave sort of, like I'll do it like this here sort of pattern,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm going like that with the sticks. So it's allowing me to play different. I hold the sticks differently as well. As long as I'm still playing, that counts. So there's a lot of variety of things that you sort of pick up along the way. And I
Mm.
guess when it comes down to it now in 2023, it's been a lot of experience, has been a massive player in this.
So definitely, as you mentioned, the technique of, right, is, as you mentioned, in more in the smaller parts of the body rather than moving the large muscles to do take, which obviously takes more energy and would wear
Yeah,
out. Um, and okay, so that's, when I was thinking and didn't know, was, okay, how, so okay, so the rules have changed.
yeah.
Um, and so how is, so you've got, is it still, do you get, so now is it 30 seconds after every song, or do you still get a 15-minute break after 8 hours, or how does that?
Okay, so the way it works, instead of playing 8 hours straight and having your 15-minute break, you're allocated a 5-minute break for every full complete hour you play.
Mm,
So I can accumulate that. What I did in 2008 was I played 4 hours straight and took a 20-minute break, took 4 hours straight, took a 20-minute break. So I was trying to, that stage, I was trying to work it out that my body would work with consistency and it might develop better as the later stages goes on. It also meant that during the next 4 hours that I play, because I've taken all my break time, that if anything happens, I'm screwed basically. I can't do anything because I've got no minutes built up. Whereas now, what I did a couple of weeks ago was I accumulated my minutes as much as possible. I played as long as I could, and I only took a break to run to the toilet and come back again. It took like maybe 5 minutes out of so many hours that I played. By the stage I got to 96 hours, I think I had accumulated over 3 hours worth of break time.
mm,
So if anything did happen, I could use that, or if I got to a real bad point, then I could maybe go for a lie down as well.
mm,
So I tried to build that all up, and There's strategic issues involved in this now, I think, to try and get further and further. But there's a lot of thinking process to be had on this. Yeah,
Right. So yeah, that's again not knowing and these rules that the Guinness Book of World Record folks, they're the ones that say here's what, as you just mentioned there, is that's the rules and saying how it can be done. And I
yeah,
guess how is something like that with endurance um verified? Is, I mean, I think, yeah, because you live streamed it, so again, anybody
yeah,
wanted to view it, it's out there forever. And and to go back and say yes, this has happened. And as opposed, I'm sure, many years ago, before a lot of the technology and phones and cameras and whatnots has been out there.
yeah.
But um so so I guess, at thinking about it, is what was maybe one a concern you may have had, even though you had the mental preparation with the training about staying up and sleep deprivation, some of your techniques that you just talked about there. What was something that worried you, that, or maybe was later afterwards you may have thought of it, that could have been really concerning for you to reach that goal? Like the live streaming part. I was just thinking there. I mean, even though, and we'll talk a little bit. I might kind of spill the beans a little bit about, like, the drum kit is. I know you'd played an electronic kit, which I'll let you
Yeah.
get into detail. But like things like that, like what could have things out of your, act of God, Mother Nature, things that, I mean, God, that sucked because that wasn't your fault,
Well,
right? Yeah.
I'll tell something now to you that has not been spoken about in the open yet
Mm.
since I did this record. There was a power cut in half of the town that I was doing the record in, and thankfully the half of the town I was in did not receive that power cut. And that was on the first day in the Sunday evening. So I started Sunday morning, 7 a.m. And apparently there was a power cut for about 5 or 6 hours later on that evening. So I was that in itself just screams to me that this is meant to be. This was my time. Everything was electronic. The live stream was being recorded as well. The recorded evidence then gets sent for verification, along with a lot of other things that I can talk about as well. But yeah, everything that I was doing was majority of it electronic, and I had to just hope and pray that I got through it without any difficulties. I did have a lot of backups though,
Mm.
for the likes of the drum kit, the brain, the cameras, the computers. I had an awful lot of backups there, so I think I was maybe over prepared for it, but it all worked out smoothly in the end.
Right. But again, you've done it before, so each time there's something new that you kind of take it going forward and learned. And
Yeah,
I mean, again, and again, I know you've set the record a couple different times and done different endurances, but um, I guess you go through. I mean, do you end up going through a lot of I don't know, it's a drum. Do you have any busted a drum head or broken sticks, or how many sticks do you go through? I mean, little stuff like that, right?
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I the kit this time was an electronic kit, so I didn't break any sticks. I did have an endorsement with London Drumstick Company. I had a whole pile of drumsticks. They were in my drum bag beside the floor tom. Yes, I dropped sticks an awful lot of times. So as soon as I dropped the stick, people were panicking, but I can play one-handed. It's totally fine. I just in there, get a stick, grab it, and play away with the two hands. So that was fine. I didn't break any of the skins, the triggers, everything was perfect on the drum kit. The module itself was fine. In the past, drum skins have lasted the entire week. Maybe loosened a wee bit towards the end of the week, but I've never broken a drum skin. Yes, I think in 2008 I was playing on a Pearl Masters kit, and I broke a couple of drumsticks during that, because if you imagine playing on the hi hat, the drumstick
Just
is just it's just like chopping wood.
yep.
It's just getting less and less and less, and then one thing, next thing, that half the stick just disappears into oblivion. I don't know where it goes. So yeah, I did break a few sticks then, to be honest. So wee things like that, yeah,
Right.
and it's been okay. I've yet to receive my first blister doing these endurance
Mm.
events as well, and I have a trick for that also. So my hands, no blisters, perfectly fine, all good. Um, yeah, no issues at all. I'm very fortunate.
So Ali, you definitely you need to, yeah, you need to you said strike while the iron's hot. We were talking about something a little earlier that whether you want to share or not, that's up to you about this other possibility thing. But I'm thinking here's one for you. You know, is, and we can edit this out if you want, so it doesn't go out to the, since we're only taping it, is here you go. You need to write your own book or your own course or something on how to endurance break the records for other people.
Yeah.
There you go. So
I I do have a small checklist written up as to how to do it. Obviously Drumathon Live, the people involved with that were doing 12-hour stints and 24-hour stints, some of them. I wrote like a checklist or a list just to try and explain how to get through so many hours of drumming. So there's a few hints and tips basically that I wrote. And yeah, I can share it. I don't mind because at the end of the day, I've been there, I've done it before. People learn, and I don't mind people knowing the secrets now because I have nothing more to prove. I
mm,
don't need to do this anymore.
right.
I mean, I've gone and done what I've set out to achieve, and I'm thankfully I've done it.
Well, you can give how to do it, but still, at the end of the day, it's the person, right? And
Yeah, well,
it's
yeah,
within them too. So,
got to put the work in, right?
that's right, that's right. So you broke the 100, and then you've done a couple other, as you mentioned there, some of the other endurances, 24 hours.
Mm.
You've played with other drummers, or you've kind of, that was a group record too, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned there, there's one of five people. I'm one of five people to play over 100 hours. And this was after the rules had changed in the 90s. So since then, it's still only five of us that can play over 100 hours. And what happened was Carlos in Portugal decided to do like a group event. The group drumming world record's about 80 hours. So we all got together. So Steve came over, who held the record there at 134 hours, pending my verification. Carlos is in Portugal. There's a guy, Lou Mars from America, came over, and Kunto Hartano from Indonesia. So we all went to this shopping mall in Portugal in Castelo Branco, and we all played 100 hours together, all five of us on in a shopping mall on a stage, playing along to tunes. All of us, I didn't even know what the songs were. We just all played together. This Carlos had the set list done. So I think we could take our breaks ourselves at different times, and as long as they were kept, that was it.
Mm.
There was we got to the 80 hours, we broke it. Lou, he injured himself at that point, and it came down to just the four of us left to finish the 100. But we all done a massive effort then, and we learned a lot from each other as well doing that, Paul, because we all had our own different tricks and tips of how to do things, and that's when I learned about not doing consistent so many hours and then so many breaks. That's where I learned from Steve to just play as long as I could and bank as many minutes as possible. So we've all learned off each other. We've all been very good friends with each other about it. I think Steve was even for coming over there to Northern Ireland here to actually help me break his record. So that's how good we are with each other. You know, we've got a friendship for life, especially after what we did together in Portugal.
It's, yeah, you definitely now have a brotherhood or that bonding friendship of something, achieving something together, and like again, back to reference to sports and something that I wanted to go back to, you mentioned it there. I think it was an important thing that is that the different techniques, because obviously, for some, and you hear it a lot of times happening when with or people flying on a plane or something to that extent, potential for blood clotting, and obviously sitting in being in a position for too long.
Yeah.
Obviously, drumming for endurance can, that can be pretty, as you know, it's probably, I would have, or I guess I should assume, it can be kind of dangerous, from that sense that you're very sedentary for so long, and for that purpose. But and then well too is the drum throne, right? I mean, that's, I said it. You've got to have that's probably the one of the part of the body that you probably don't think of when it comes to the endurance. It's all about the the arms and the mind and all that. Well, it's also the arse, right? It's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had issues with that in Portugal, to be fair. It was just it's one thing you don't think about, and it gets to a point where, oh man, I need to use numbing cream or I need to do something here to try and take away the effect of me sitting on my backside for almost a week, and it can be comfortable, it can not be, it can be very uncomfortable as well. But this time round doing the 150. It worked out quite well for me. I didn't really have any issues, and thankfully that was good. I did think maybe the way I was sitting, my left leg, I played the drum kit right-handed. The way I was sitting, I think I was sitting on a nerve, and my left leg got numb quite a lot.
Oh.
So did have to do quite a lot of stretches when I was taking breaks for that to try and get my leg working again.
So what are, and I'm sure everyone who is there, supporting you, watching you, in person, and your friends and family is, I'm sure, like you mentioned, you drop a drumstick. It wasn't just you knew because again, as a drummer, it happens, right? And it's not a
Yeah.
super big deal as long as the drum bag is next to you. But I'm sure everyone who's there supporting you, they're the ones that are probably just as more nervous for stuff, than like than but things like that. I mean, um, what are people allowed to interact with you, or how much can they do, not do? I guess you're allowed to be fed, like in the
Yeah.
in the fish tank, or or whatever. We know people can't go. People can help feed you, give you something to drink, but yeah, what I mean, is there any rules about what type of what you're allowed and not allowed?
Yeah. Basically they can do everything and anything to keep me awake as long as they're not playing the drums. And constantly going over the view of the camera. This live stream was a fixed camera. We did go live on Facebook and social media, but the live stream has a fixed camera. That's the fixed camera specifically for the world record rules. It can't move about.
Mm,
So that people can I need to have two stewards with me the entire time for the 150, and they only allowed to be a steward for 4 hours maximum. Then they have to have a 4 hour break before they can steward again. So there's a lot of people down there helping me, a lot of newbies as well, who thankfully, like my right hand man Duncan, he's been through nearly every hour I've played, and he knew how to event coordinate everything. And unfortunately, whenever I'm playing, I can play and sleep at the same time, right? So I'm playing, my head's dipped a wee bit and my eyes are closed. So I'm playing away and I'm just concentrating on the music. But any of the newbies seen my eyes closing, they were like, wake up. They were shouting at me, and I'm like, I can't even get 2 seconds to close my eyes here, and I'm used to playing and sleeping at the same time. And then it got to a point where, look, see, whenever the shoulders dip, the head dips, that's when he's gonna crash.
mhm.
So wait until that. Just let him concentrate and do his thing. But people were coming over, and I didn't mind. It was actually good for me because it helped put the time through for me, where people came over and I let kids come over and friends and family. I lifted one of the headphones off and I made conversation whilst playing. And that's not an easy thing to do,
Mm.
playing, listening, talking all at once. But for me, I like the interaction because I was able to chat to people I hadn't seen for a long time as well. So yeah, that was fine. Food wise, I didn't take any food during my breaks because I didn't want to waste my breaks by just sitting down eating food.
Mhm.
So, as I said before, the 30 seconds between songs, I used that to my advantage, where the food that was prepared for me was set on the floor, Tom, with a spoon. And my 30 seconds was, right, how much can I throw into my mouth as quick as possible here? And then I'm sitting like a chipmunk with my cheeks sitting way out here, eating away and playing until I got the food into me. Drinks and everything sitting by me. So obviously I can play one-handed.
Mhm.
The interaction was very important for me. People can do pretty much anything. They had tambourines playing away, trying to keep me awake, doing whatever they could, and that was very important for me. It was something that they probably don't forget, will never forget, and something that I can never thank them enough for doing.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely they feel like they were part of it with you, and it's again some of the videos that I've seen is, I guess well, it's very you had your you said you had a very great support group there, and to
Yeah.
and I guess I'm not familiar where you're at. I mean, what kind of size or time is
Oh,
Like, yeah.
so the Lisburn is actually classed as a city where I'm from, and it is about 10-minute drive from the capital of Northern Ireland, which is Belfast. So it's not too far away.
Okay.
Don't ask me how many people live in it because I have no idea.
Okay. So I think one last question I think I had about some of the the rules or things you're allowed to do, can't do. And so forth. I until just now I just it was again because I've never looked it up or dug into it, and then that's why I wanted to
Yeah.
talk to you. Right? Is uh it's was so is there I guess is it specifically you have to play songs or can you play rudiments or play something? I guess there's right some structure like you're just like just
Yeah.
doing roles and that's it,
That's it. Again, down to the rules. You're not allowed to repeat a song within 4 hour period.
Mhm.
But what I did was this time round, I tried to play 2,600 songs, approximately, give or take, so that I didn't really repeat songs. Some of the songs were repeated, but they were like days apart,
Mm,
and so it was fine. As long as you don't repeat a song within 4 hours, then it's no problem. So the way to structure things is to at least have a 5 hour playlist type thing and just play it continuously. If you want to just repeat songs, whatever that would be, what 300-400 songs. Whereas I just went for it with as many as possible. My strategic thinking of this was so that when it comes to the times that I dip in the early hours of the morning, then I don't think to myself, I've repeated this, I've played this, and I start playing with my head. So the trick was to try and play songs just one at least once, not repeat as many as
mm.
possible.
So you won't trip, yeah, get it all
Yeah,
mixed. Yeah, yeah, it
yeah,
makes sense. Damn, 2000 songs. Now that's a hell of a set list to, have. So anyone's looking for a drummer to fill in that can be anything. Look, this guy's got it all, right? I mean, bands
that's
struggle,
it.
right? As you mentioned, right? Cover bands, original bands, or playing bar bands. They struggle with you got to, play a 3 hour set. Typically, that's how typically it is here. For a band to play
Yeah,
somewhere is 3 hours, and that equates to about I don't know about 50, 60 songs nearly, and yeah, that's so
yeah.
150 hours was 6.5 days. Is that
It
or
was 6.5 days,
yeah?
yeah. So what I did was I started on a Sunday morning, at 7 a.m. and the 150 was 1 p.m. lunchtime on the Saturday.
Mhm.
The world record was on the Friday evening at 9:05 in the p.m.
That that's that's a lot. That is a lot of time. I'm assuming you got off from work, right?
Oh
yeah,
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 I took time off
yeah,
work, yeah, and made a few days beforehand
yeah.
and a couple of days after. I'm back to work and everything now,
Okay.
but I have a funny feeling that in a couple of weeks' time I'll maybe face plant the desk and everything will just catch up with me, you know. I just
Yeah.
got you there as you were drinking that.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, it's like need that 5 hour red or 5 hour energy drink there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's really fascinating. That journey, that all the things you get there. Um, and I know as I think a big part of this 150 mark that you hit was, um, you know, just before this or over a few years prior. Um, there was a reason why as I think that the 150 was what you went after, and there was a reason behind it. Um,
yeah.
do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was when the time that I was doing the world record attempt with the group of drummers in Portugal, for the 100 hours. It was 2017, around September time, and I met Sharon, my partner. At that time, just when I came back from that, she'd messaged me. She was into drumming, and I was doing a few festivals here to raise money for going over to Portugal. So whenever I came back from that, 100 hours, I met up with her a few days after, actually, and then we very quickly got close together, become partners, and I went out with her for about 6, 7 months, and she started taking an awful lot of mid back pain, stomach pain, and we were constantly going to A&E every weekend. And eventually, what they did was they kept her in for a scan, and got a phone call next day in work, and I got told to come down and speak to her and see her, and that's when we found out that there was a tumor on the head of the pancreas, and therefore she had been diagnosed then with pancreatic cancer.
Mm,
So I had to drop everything, the likes of the drumming. I just stopped everything that I was doing. I was doing a lot of corporate gigs, wedding gigs, bar gigs, and I just had to stop all of that and keep my work going as well. And they were very fortunate to allow me to work from home to look after. So I did that for 3.5 years. And unfortunately, she passed away then on 31st of January, 2021.
Mm, yeah, sorry for your loss.
Thank
Um,
you.
and that was, and as you mentioned, that's what you guys had. That your the connection was the drums, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the drums. Yeah,
yeah.
and she knew that before, like whenever she was alive, she knew about me doing the world records,
Mm,
obviously, and was aware that I wanted to do 150 hours. So it's been something that's in my head for about 5 years now, and I just thought, well, you know what? There's no better way to honor her name and do
right,
something in her name than do another Guinness World Record and do this 150 and get it done.
right. That's yeah. That's great. Allie is yeah. I mean, she was your biggest supporter there, right? That
Yeah,
those 6 days, right?
that's it.
Um, and as you mentioned, there was a couple things that also know, and you had it really after. I mean, for losing somebody that you're really close to, you love, and those things is it's hard loss, and you kind of had some, like anything, any loss of a loved one is you kind of went through some things on your own as well too, right? Afterwards,
Yeah, so it all happened when COVID
hmm,
came about. So the illness lasted for about a year, and then COVID came about, and we were confined to the house as well. So Sharon passed away during COVID as well. So the likes of funerals and things like that, there was only a handful of people about,
hmm,
and not very many people could come to the house. Not very many people could like give me any support really. So it I thought I was a strong-minded person by doing the world records and pushing my mindset, but when that happened, a few weeks later, it started to hit me, and I think that I then struggled a bit with mental health. Did my work, came home, I sat in bed watching TV, and then went to work the next day. I didn't really want to do anything for a lot of months. I got myself into a bit of a rut. So I don't know how, but I do believe that because my mindset has been so strong for the last number of years doing the world records, that I managed to get myself out of that rut and push myself. The local gym and spa opened up fully, and I went down there 6 days a week, evenings, weekends, and did my work. And I got to socialize more with people, and I got to see my friends again after the lockdowns lifted. So I think the timing was just nice for me to try and get back into society again, and be able to feel like I could live a normal life again, and move on, push on a bit,
hmm.
obviously not dwell in the past too much, but obviously keep sharing in my thoughts and what happened and what I'd done and gone through. But I'm very grateful that I do have the fantastic friends that I have and family as well.
Yeah. And it's I don't need to tell you, right? I mean, we all lived it. This whole world lived it, the last 3 years of a
Yeah,
lot of certainties, and very difficult for some that lived in certain parts of the world. And and it became kind of, the podcast started about mid. I started before the podcast, so I wasn't like somebody who was in home and had nothing to do, and hey, let's start a podcast and YouTube and TikTok and all those other things like that, but I started about that time, and as I started talking to some guests and a few that didn't live here in the U.S., asking them, COVID became a subject. When we're supposed to be talking about drums and rums, COVID became a subject because it was a global thing we all went through. And for some,
yeah,
yeah, depending on where you are in the world, as you mentioned, lockdown, it was probably you had a different experience than I did here in the U.S. And where God forbid I can't go to, I mean, they closed the beaches down here, and that was what a lot of people were like. I thought sun was good and being out in the open, but
yeah,
so that's why not everyone, but yeah, but still at the end of the day, yeah, as you mentioned, they're going through all those things, and then right, you lose interaction with people, and and relationships, and being around people, and and being stuck in your all of our boxes for where you can't really go out. It definitely took a toll, and then obviously for you. But as you mentioned, you're able to kind of dig into some of the things you've done to help kind of move forward, and it's great to hear, right, that you know the highs and lows and the come back out of it. And again, to also say, like you said, never forget, but yet not too much dwell on it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, so that's great, and that led to obviously what we talked about here is the 150-hour
yeah,
drum record here. So talk a little bit about I guess some of the supporting, the companies or that were helps put this on together. This recent
sure.
record you got, yeah. Let's kind of give them some talk up about
Yeah.
some of the things that you want to mention there. Yeah,
Absolutely. So the first thing is that basically the 150 hours, what I went through with Sharon, I wanted to raise money and awareness for charity, right? So pancreatic cancer, the local charity here is called NIPANC, NI for Northern Ireland, NIPANC. And also then there's like a UK based mental health charity called Mind. And I felt like the two coincide together, I guess with any cancer, your mental health sort of is relative to it. So I thought, why not? I'll do the charity, both charities, and do the 150 hours for them, raise money, raise awareness, and that was my goal. I didn't think I would raise too much money, Paul, but I knew that with this event being a Guinness World Record as such, that I could raise a lot of awareness, that I could get this spread around. And then obviously, sure, here we are today.
yeah,
It's been heard in Florida,
yeah.
so thankfully it's gone to a lot of other countries as well. So that was a big thing for me, and the charities have been phenomenal, especially NIPANC. They have been unbelievable for me. We on the live stream, you would see I had a stand-up poster behind me. It had all the symptoms of the pancreatic cancer and things like that. So for me, awareness was key, and the hashtag time matters is what they use, basically to try and find that diagnosis as early as possible, and then you have a better prognosis and treatment for that. The other thing then is Drumathon Live. So the website was drumathon.live, and that came about from a guy and girl called Errol Kennedy and Bev Sage. Now, Errol is from an 80s platinum band called Imagination, and he's in England. So him and Bev, he was doing a 24-hour thing over lockdown for the hospitals, raising money for them, and I was actually going to do the same. So he did his 24 hours, and I thought, wow, this is cool. I did my 24 hours and done my bit, live stream from the house. And the next thing, a few months later, I saw Errol was like posting a thing about Guinness World Records. And I was like, this is my thing. I need to contact this guy. I need to speak to him. And it turns out he had a collaborative group of drummers, well-known drummers as well. They were playing 12-hour drum sets for basically copying what a shift would be for a nurse or a doctor in the hospitals. So they were trying to make this run for a week or more. And I messaged them and said, look, man, I can do this. This is my forte. 12 hours is nothing to me. So let me get involved. And I did. And that was, I think it was back in 2020. So I got involved with Drumathon Live since then. I've done 24 hours for each of their events each year for the last couple of years. And I asked Bev and Earl, look, can I get involved this year and do the world record under Drumathon Live? So thankfully, they gave me that opportunity to go under the umbrella of Drumathon Live and get it out there. So that was fantastic, and a big up to them for doing that. And through that, I've actually managed to be able to become friends with a lot of well-known drummers. And the way to do it, find out who they are, is go to drumathon.live and go to the previous years and just scroll down the drummers. It's such a privilege to be involved with these people, to be in a WhatsApp group with these folk, and for them to actually give me a lot of encouragement, especially even when Sharon passed away. They were so fantastic to me. They were very, very helpful and very supportive. So the Drumathon Live has also played a massive, massive part for me in terms of like the mental health, getting me back into drumming as well. And then the other thing then from that, the electronic drum kit, Joe Becky, electronic drums. So they're based in England as well, been going about 14 years or so. And I thought if I could do, in the venue I was in is quite small. So I thought, let me think about this. The last time I did an acoustic kit, everybody's ears were bleeding by the end of the week. So uh, electric kit's the way forward. Joe Becky drum kits are absolutely fantastic. And got speaking to the owners, and Jane sent uh, word that they would be up for allowing me to use an electronic drum kit for the world record of Joe Becky. So I got it. Purple was the color for pancreatic cancer, the color coded with the charity. That's why it's a purple drum kit as well. And they done absolutely everything for me and helped me out with the drums. So therefore, the electronic drum kit was a Joe Becky, and that's what I used, and that's why also it's purple. I had no issues with it at all. The drum skins are like 3 ply thickness, and they were amazing. I think also for when playing that length of time, it helped my arms as well. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, the other thing is the drumsticks. So I have my own custom signature drumsticks
Nice,
here.
nice.
So I have, as you can see, Animal. There's Animal from the Muppets, a custom. So it's London Drumstick Company, and then I have the Drumathon logo and my signature on them as well. These drumsticks actually have like a bit of a. You'll see if I
There you
can
go.
move this there.
Yep,
You can see a bit of a bead on it there.
yep, yep.
So this here is called a true grip drumstick, and what happens is it allows me to have a decent grip on the drums. It also has like a it's slightly weighted differently
Mm.
from other drumsticks, because it therefore allows me to have less fatigue on my arms when playing the drums. So all of that put together brought along the Mind of Endurance World Record attempt, and it was held in the Lisbon Music Centre. They were absolutely amazing because that is a music shop as well as a music school, and it was functioning as I was doing this. So people were coming past me to go to their lessons and looking at me going, what's this guy still doing here 2 days later when I'm coming for a
You
lesson?
haven't left yet?
Yeah,
You're still here?
exactly. Why is he? Yeah, is this guy on Duracell or something? So yeah, all of those people are. I couldn't have done it without them. And then the one person that I need to, well, I've always mentioned his name, Duncan. He's been by my side for over 30 years, and every hour I've done on this, he event coordinated everything and made sure that nobody gave me. I did this world record on no caffeine and no sugar, the whole 150 hours. I did have a couple of jelly babies uh, every day just to allow for blood sugars to keep them up. But the whole week was no caffeine, no sugar until the last day, whenever all the goodies that everyone brought was brought out, and then I started getting stuck into it. And I still had like 4 or 5 hours left. And I can tell you now, Paul, I tried to eat a couple of sweets, and I thought, oh, this is heaven. I've got to eat some of the sweets. See, in 10 minutes, I was crashing
Mm,
because of the sugar rush. I
right.
could not believe it. So I think that's another good thing where I can talk and exploit the fact that I've just managed. It shows what you can do without caffeine and sugar for 150 hours, non-stop drumming, and come out the other end, no problem.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing as just we people know, right? There's caffeine, there's an we it can be addictive, and and sugar is obviously very I'm terrible sweet tooth, and I don't know if that's the
Yeah, same.
like I told you beforehand. I don't know if it's the UK-ness background that I have, and I can't pass up all those Scottish candy and things like that. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, so definitely kudos there. Let's see, do I have my applause? Yeah, so applause to everybody there who helped you out. And again, it's great to have that support group, and others want to be part of it. Others that are, like I said, the community in the drum live. Obviously the drum company. I mean, that's a great point there about the electronic drums is how you can control the volume. And when I watched some of the videos
Yeah.
of you playing, and talked about the electronic kit, I had recently done something similar where I took my small little breakbeat kit from Ludwig and put those mesh heads on it, put little drum triggers on it, hooked up them, and the idea was the same concept, was still
Yeah.
playing an acoustic kit but controlling the volume.
Yeah.
where it wasn't it wasn't an electronic kit, pad kit, but more of a traditional kit. And
Yeah, and the
so
good thing about the Jubeki kit is that it's something similar. You can take out the drum triggers, take off the mesh heads, put on normal drum
oh,
skins, and turn it into an acoustic kit. So it's sort of like a hybrid kit in a
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. Is it their drum heads, or is it they have like somebody else like
They,
Evan?
yeah, it's their drum heads,
Okay,
it's their drum triggers.
okay.
So it is, yeah.
And the drum and triggers stay inside, or did you say you take them off as well too?
The drum triggers stay inside, so
Okay.
you know the lugs that are on
Hmm.
the side of the drum.
Right. I know who.
So you can take off the head, attach the drum trigger to the lugs, tighten it up when you're putting the skin back on. They do have they've now just announced within the last week a brand new type of drum trigger style. So you have to go on the website and check it out and look at it and see for yourself. But it's different now and a lot more durable as well.
Cool. Now that sounds different. I'll have to talk to. I'll have to introduce you to Michael Outlaw. He is a guest also, and he does a lot of custom drums. And again, same thing. The rum world. I thought rum was how you made rum was a certain thing, and until I went down the rabbit hole and was like, wow, I didn't know so much. And the same thing about even drums is
Yeah.
drums weren't not all drums are just plied, wrapped and formed, but stave made and so forth. And he made some, so he's always interesting with collaboration. So definitely, again, part of as I always say, the part of the podcast, you become part of the alum, and everyone's connects, and everyone has a guest, and I have many guests that also help reach out to other guests, and likewise any guest who wants to connect with somebody else. It's all about
Yeah.
community, right? It's all about connecting the dots, and it's all about let's just be cool about it, and and have a great time, and enjoy each other's company, and so
Exactly.
forth, so forth.
And do you know something, Paul? It's a great community. See, especially the drumming world. I know the rum world would be a great community to be part of as well because everyone's going to be jolly and merry all the time. But the drumming world, uh, only until I got involved with Drumathon Live did I realize just how supportive everyone can be. It doesn't matter whether you're an amateur drummer, a beginner, professional, superstar. Everyone is supportive, and
Right,
it's fantastic to see. And I hope long may that continue.
right. Yeah, yeah. For sure. I before we go, we got a segment going to come up here. We're getting close, wrapping things up. And but
Yeah.
one question I do have before we get to the next segment is, um, so have you ever thought about doing, I can't remember the name of the organization, but the one where they have like an arena, a stadium full of drummers and guitar players all playing the same
Oh,
songs?
is that the Rock 1000 or
That's it.
something?
Yes, that's
Or
it. Yeah.
yeah, so I know a couple of people that's involved with that, and I do plan to hopefully get involved at one point.
Okay.
Maybe do one of the gigs. That would be amazing. That would
Yeah.
be fantastic. Yeah, I think it's Rock 1000.
I
I'm
think
not
yeah,
sure. I can't
I think
remember
that's
off the
it.
top of my head.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
I've seen it, and
that's it.
I've tried to reach out to them, and again talk to them again, just learn more about it. I'm always amazed by it.
Yeah.
Like you're watching, yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah, I can put you in touch
okay,
with people that's involved with it. No
okay,
problem.
cool,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely fine. The only one thing I will say is next year, we are planning Drumathon Live 2024. It's not going to be me doing another world record. It's going to be a lot of different drummers getting involved, live streamed again. There'll be a venue in London, I think, as well for people to come and visit. It's going to involve a lot of the drumathoners that are on the website and maybe some new ones as
Okay.
well. So it's something to look out for. And if anyone on here wants to get involved with the drumathon live next year and play even 1 hour or a couple of hours, just go to the website and email them, and they'll get in touch.
Oh, right. I might take you up on that. You might see me show up, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, we'll definitely
absolutely.
include all the links to everything because I think there's a lot of great information. I think folks should
Yeah.
definitely check out, and we'll get a chance here to wrap up and tie that into a bow here in a second here. So all right, so Allie, you ready? Have you prepared yourself? Did you do your homework on the show here?
Uh, I
It's
think
okay
I
to say
know
no.
it's coming up, but I'm not so sure.
Okay. All right. So what we've got here coming up here is our segment here is in what we call in 4 beats or less. So let's see how you do here. All right, so here in our 4 beats or less, this is a rapid fire segment here again in 4 beats, right? I'm going to ask you some questions. You're going to see the question on the screen. I will, actually say it too, and I want you to kind of think about. Don't overthink it, right? This is a
Okay.
right. So all right. So in our first one here, so this is in 4 beats or less. I ask this of all of our guests all the time, and this is one that every drummer gets because it is. I think it's an interesting one for all of our drummers to kind of see what their thoughts are on
Okay.
where they come from here. So all right, so in 4 beats or less, who is on your Mount Rushmore of drummers? Now, again, I've realized that some of this reference is, stupid me because I realized that others I have guests on that are outside the U.S. I have listeners that are outside the U.S. And then sometimes I
Yeah.
forget the fact that some don't know actually what Mount Rushmore is. I'm sure are you familiar with Mount Rushmore?
Yeah.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, so there you go. I don't
So,
have to explain it. So,
I remember watching back on Kira's, and there was the question of is it four or five as well. Um,
very good, very good.
s yeah, yeah. So for me, it's quite simple. I just have Keith Moon, Phil Collins, Chad Smith, Taylor Hawkins.
Oh, very good. That's a great one there. So in our next segment here, yeah, I'm always sometimes surprised that sometimes a guest will throw a new one out there that I haven't. That's like, okay, that's didn't not familiar with that person. All right, so in 4 beats or less here, if you could be a member of a band, which one? Which would it be?
That's an easy one. I've always wanted to be involved with the Foo Fighters. I've
Okay.
always dreamt of it, so that's a simple one.
So did you apply? When I know they got Josh. Did you let them know
Yeah.
you were interested and you were available, or
Well, I think my answer would be the application is not good enough for me to even hit a cowbell for the to be part of a Foo Fighters band. But
uh,
yeah, Josh is fantastic.
yeah.
He's a great addition to the band now.
Yeah, but Dave would be like, you're like, all right, Dave, can you play for 150 hours? Come on, man. I said,
Yeah,
yeah,
do 150 days of a tour, and I'll be able to play every one of them.
oh, right, yeah. All right, fair enough. That's a good answer. All right, so have you seen the Foo Fighters before live?
Yes, I have
Okay,
many times.
okay. I've only got
I'm going to see them next year as well in
X.
London.
Cool. I know it was a big show. A lot of people that went to the show at the
The tribute.
yeah in the
Yeah,
England.
I
Yeah.
didn't get to go to that. No.
So all right, so number 3 here. What is something the rest of the world doesn't know about Northern Ireland?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea about this. Um, I honestly don't know. I don't know what to say here. There's so many things I could say.
I can
Uh,
give you a hint. I can give you what
Give me
I
one. Give me
think.
one.
Okay, I think here's what I would think is that Northern Ireland is its own country, right? Than
Yeah,
Ireland, right? So some I
it
think
is.
right. So I don't think
Yeah, so
some.
Northern Ireland. So Northern Ireland's part of the UK,
Mm,
and it's a currency of sterling, whereas South Ireland is euros.
mm,
It's part of the European country community. Yeah,
yeah. So
there you go.
there you go. There's two, right? I said I try to come to things that are like not
Yeah,
always
you got me there.
not always so drum related here. So, all right, I thought I had a fourth question here. I may have actually missed it here. Um, yep. All right. So I think I'm gonna let you off the hook here with the four because I just to be honest here,
You're fine.
I forgot what the fourth one was. So anyway, all right, I'll let you off the hook here. So again, I appreciate you going through our rapid fire segment in 4 beats or less. And
Thank you.
as part of being a good sport and playing here, welcome to the alum. So now we're part
Yay.
of the Drums and Rums alum there, as we say, is part where the backbeats meets the spirits. That's our tagline there. So we'll get the shirt out to you here
Awesome.
hopefully soon. Like I said I've taken a little break, so I think I'm caught up on most of my alum shirts that send out to the
That's
folks there.
cool.
So um, again, Al, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you accepting the message I sent you out of the blue, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
who the hell is this guy, right? And definitely to come on a show, talk about the the records, talking about the causes, talking about some of the personal things you've gone through over the last few years. And again, great to have now meet you and know you. And what all the things about. Definitely want to stay in touch. Like I said, I
Yeah,
seriously do always
100%.
seriously do kind of, I said I refer to everybody as alums. I know it kind of be a little corny. I had Don Farmerlero on, and he kind of gave me a little hard time about the rhyming of drums and rums and alums and things. And I'm like, I don't know, it just rhymes. It's easy, it's not over.
Yeah.
It's nothing that
People
complicated.
remember people remember things like that though.
Right. So, but yeah, so as we wrap up here, so here's, as I said, the closing here. Ali, here's the shameless plugs. Here's the thing let's leave this on where, what you want people to make sure they're checking out. We'll definitely include any links you mentioned in this segment or two. Whatever you want to plug, buy your sticks. I don't know. And then also, lastly, also, what is like, give the, parting words on drumming, life, etc. Right. So here you go.
Okay, so obviously I want to plug drumathon.live, www.drumathon.live. So next year there's going to be a big Drumathon 2024. Get involved, go to the website, message them, and let's see how many drummers we can get actually to do something great. It'll be raising money and awareness for charities as well. I've been thankfully endorsed with the London Drumstick Company, so go and check that out. I'm down in the artists section, and the drumsticks I have are called True Grip. So if you want to know more about them, you can message me or go through Paul. That would be fantastic. The other thing then is the two charities. So I have NIPANC, NIPANC, and it's .org. That is the pancreatic cancer charity that I raised money for. And on there, throughout the world, pancreatic cancer is the same. The symptoms are on the website. If anyone feels that they have the likes of those symptoms, then please go and get it checked out as soon as possible. And then obviously, no matter what you're going through, I just don't want people to ever feel like they're ever on their own. And I think doing my world record proved to people that if you have a strong mind, maybe nothing's impossible. So don't give up. Therefore, the mind charity as well. Go and check that out. And if anyone has any issues, I'm happy to listen. But please do go and get help because don't ever feel like you're on your own. And that's it. The last thing is then obviously the Lisburn Music Centre. Big thank you to them for allowing me to do the world record, and for all my friends and family. You all know who you are. I'll be here till next week talking about you. Just a massive thanks to everyone involved, all the drumathoners, everyone that shared the website and the awareness for the cause of my 150 hours. And fingers crossed, in the next few months, I might get verification of the world record, and I'll be in the book for the third time.
Awesome. So great stuff there. So, like I said, we'll include all the links that Ali had mentioned there. I think, as you mentioned, it's definitely pancreatic cancer is not just one place or another. It's everything, right? I mean, a lot of that, and him and I had shared a
Yeah.
little bit offline. Someone close to me, coworker as well, and so it's it's tough. So definitely check all those things out. Like Ali said, if you want to hit me up and get a hold of them, or like you said, it'd be great. Maybe we get all of our drum guests to come on and do the drum live thing. That'd be kind of a cool thing, right?
That would
So
be
who
cool.
knows, right?
Yeah,
Then we can drink rum afterwards, right? Uh,
absolutely.
so I'd like to thank Ali for coming on the podcast and talking about drums, rums, music, his journey, the Guinness Book of World Record. That's freaking cool, right? Um, and like I said, not this Guinness. Yeah, I'm still drinking the Guinness. So I'm slow playing the Guinness. And so definitely please check out the Drums and Rums podcast. Give it a like, follow. There's a lot of other great episodes that are out there to listen to. Follow us on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, we're trying to grow all that. Get out there. Again, it's not always a drum guest. It's not always rum guest. Sometimes it's both, and sometimes we're just here. We're just talking solely about drums here in this episode. And visit the website drumsandrubs.com. And I want to thank you all and have a great day. And this is Paul, where the backbeats meets the spirits. Cheers, y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One last thing. Happy birthday, my friend,
Oh,
for the coming up soon.
that's right. So yeah, so for yeah, so everyone else doesn't get it except Allie and I. That's all we'll say. Yeah,
That's it.
that's right. Cheers, y'all.
Thank you.